So what we have here is a Woodward Fab hot rod power hammer. It's like a Planishing hammer on steroids. So if you go to like Baileigh, or if you ever heard of a Yoder power hammer, or Max is a type of power hammer, but they're different. Power hammers and pull maxes and those type machines, they all have the same head that does the hammering motion, but they have different ways. One has a spring, one doesn't. I'm not going to try to explain it to you here because I'll screw it up. Like the Baileighs, they're like $10,000 and up. Obviously, I can't afford a $10,000 or more power hammer. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I paid for it. I got a pretty good deal on it. So this one I bought from a place called Southern Tool. And again, I paid for this with my own money. I'm not sponsored. I'm not getting anything in bonuses or free stuff or nothing. I paid my real money for this machine. But I am tickled pink to have this thing. There's so many things in my mind that I want to do with this hammer. Pieces to make for the Model A. I've also got pieces to fabricate for Dad's truck, for my Chevrolet. I'm expecting to be a really good machine. It's not, as I said, it's not going to replace a $10,000 and up hammer. But for me, what I'm doing in my little shop here, it should be fine. And I'm tickled to death to have it. So anyway, I'm rambling again. Let me get the thing out of here, and we'll try to get it put together. Bobcat for the win. It's a bit sketchy, but it worked. But that's the only way I had to lift it. So, all right, I used my Bobcat to get the head of the machine, the hammer unit. When I lifted it with the fork, took the one fork and lifted it, found the CG, center of gravity, and lifted it. And then it slid on me, slid back on my fork, which scared the piss out of me. Luckily, it didn't hurt it, or me, or anything else. But I did get it lifted up, and I got it set on the stand with the Bobcat. So that's how I did it. I don't recommend you do it that way. You do it however you have to do it. But, please do it safely and all that good stuff. I do have one small complaint so far. This hardware they use to bolt the machine to the base, this is not their hardware. I put 7/16 steel bolts in there. The bolts they had in there, I believe, are some form of stainless. They're slightly magnetic. I got a magnet here, hold on. And they're just slightly magnetic. I'll show you a steel bolt. See the difference? So and I can look at them too. They look stainless. When I put them in, I put them in one time and decided I wanted to take them back out. I won't tell you why I put it on backwards. This son of a bitch galled itself. Now, if you don't know, stainless will gall itself. And when I put it together the first time, I was in a hurry. I wasn't thinking. I didn't care. I just put the thing together and I only tightened it down with an electric driver. Well, this bitch galled itself. Had to break it with my 1/2-inch drive air impact to get it off. It galled itself. There's the bolt. The nut and the bolt still galled together. So do yourself a favor. Either put anti-seize on those bolts or do what I'm doing and take that hardware and put it in file 13. I put some 7/16 regular steel bolts. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be all Debbie Downer about your hardware, but that hardware sucked. Anyway, let me get the machine finished putting together, and we'll continue on. I have the hammer bolted down. It was on very simple. So I have the hammer bolted down to its base. I'll give you the real quick run through of putting it together. It's very simple, not a lot to it. All you have to do when you get it, you bolt it together. You hook the power connection up. Obviously, this is the kill switch, emergency switch, stop switch. There's your foot pedal. It is a variable speed pedal, so if in case you're wondering, you vary the speed with your foot, which is good. There is a knob here on the side. I think it's for speed. I'll have to read the manual again, but I'm going to do that later. Something else I want to explain right quick about this hammer. So a power hammer, the Yoder, and I forget all the other names, the ones you see like, I can't remember the guy's name, but the big power hammers you see the guys on YouTube making the panel, making roof inserts with. That's a power hammer, but there's a spring in there. So when it hits, it's got some give to it, some spring to it. and this hammer has that. This hammer also has a planishing mode where you turn a little eccentric in here and it goes into planishing mode. When you planish, it's hard, direct contact. Picture a dolly in your hand and a hammer, and you're planishing. There's no spring, no give. The hammerhead on a dolly is a direct hard metal contact. That's planishing. So this hammer will also do that. So you can planish with it, or you can put it into the spring mode, the hammer mode they call it, and it's more gentle, like if you were trying to say make a roof insert, which you wouldn't do on here. To make a door skin, and I'm probably going to try to do that one day, or something similar to a door skin when you want to hammer out. You know, when I hammered this out with a planishing hammer, but a whole lot bigger, you want to try to use this hammer and put it in hammer mode. One more thing let me add. I put this machine on casters for now. This is not its temporary home. And as I mentioned earlier, this thing weighs 500 pounds, somewhere in that range. So just picking up and moving it around is not going to happen. So while I'm getting it, my permanent home I think is over there where you can't see where I'm pointing. But that entire area has to be cleared out and redone. And so I got it on casters for now. You see it running. It's got some vibration to it. You're supposed to bolt it to the floor, and I'm sure that's the best way to do it. But I won't be doing that anytime soon. I do want to do it one day when I figure out, like I said, the final place for it. So for now, if it has some extra bouncing and vibration, I'm gonna have to just live with it. So in case you don't know anything about metal shaping, quote unquote shaping, there's 3 things you can do pretty much. There are others, but we're not going to go into that. Don't beat me up over details. You can shrink it, you can stretch it, and you can form it. Form it just means you bend it. Take a flat sheet, turn it, roll it into a cylinder, or crinkle it, or whatever. That's forming. So say you're making a flat panel and you want to put a hump in the middle. There's 2 ways to do it. You can stretch the middle, or you can shrink the edges. When you shrink the edges, that panel is going to suck down, and the edges will get smaller, and it'll shrink in. I'll do a better job one day explaining this. I'm just trying to get to the power hammer. Picture a wheel well. A wheel well is a good example of what one of these things can do. So you take a wheel well and you roll it over, and it's a 90-degree flange. That's easy. The hard part's when it puts that curve in it. All that middle has to, the flange in the middle of the wheel well, that has to curve and shrink together in order to get that curve. And I'm doing a horrible example. I'm just trying to give you the basics here, and I'm not doing a good job. So let's move on. So the first thing I want to try, these are called thumbnail shrinking dies, if you guys don't know. So it's called a thumbnail shrinking die because it looks like a thumbnail. And I've already got the dies in and tightened down, or I take them out and show them to you. These thumbnail shrinking dies will shrink metal very aggressively, very quickly, and a lot more than you ever could with a hand style Lancaster shrinker stretcher. Now you can do a lot with those, and the foot operated one I've got from Baileigh will do a lot, but you can't do it as much or as fast or as rough with this. This is a rough end tool for sure. I want to mention again Mike from Cornfield Customs. That guy is an amazing coach builder. Go watch him for anything you want to learn. Don't watch me. I'm just trying to show you what I learned watching him. But one of the main reasons I bought this power hammer, I wanted to be able to use a set of thumbnail shrinking dies. I also want to make dies to make profiles too. That's another big reason I bought this thing. But the thumbnail dies is definitely another something I wanted to do. So this is that panel I made with my planishing hammer where I stretched the center up with the dome with the planishing hammer dies. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go around this edge right here with these thumbnail dies, and what I hope is going to happen, we're taking this flat piece and we're going to curve it down. So I'm just going to run around the edges here, and hopefully we can get some shrink, and if it kind of works out like I want it to, we'll take it to the planishing hammer and planish it real quick and see what happens. So according to the instructions, when you use the shrinking dies, that's a form of planishing which needs to be done in the planishing mode. Again, I'm just reading the instructions here. I have no real world experience about any of this yet, so I got it in planishing mode, and that's what I'm going to try to do. I forgot something else. You have to set the lower die here. I've got the lower die pulled all the way down. there's an adjusting wheel right down here. Now you turn the wheel and raise the die up, which is what I'm doing now. And make sure when you set this thing, you have the top die at the bottom of the stroke. Because basically you want to have the clearance between the top die and the lower die to be pretty much the thickness of whatever you're working on. There are variances you can do in that depending on what you're doing. But for me, not knowing anything, I'm going to start out where I'm just at the thickness of the metal. And that's a piece of 20 gauge. I wish I had a piece of 18, but it's 20 for starting out. And this machine came with the thumbnail dies already installed. So when you change out dies, you have to adjust the dies, back and forth, in and out. And then these dies are on a square shaft, so they won't twist. But some dies you got to twist them and get them all lined up. These I'm lucky. They were already installed. All I got to do is set the height. I'm going to try that right there. I don't think I'm hitting the dial on itself. I'm going to snug it down and then run the machine. So let me run the machine, make sure we're not hitting on the dies. So we got power. Okay, so you can hear. Now these thumbnail shrinking dies are very picky about how you set them up and the height, and I'm brand new to this, and I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes. Again, I'm just trying to run them through the machine and make them do something. It's definitely not going to be perfect or pretty, I'm sure. I just want to do something. Use hearing protection on these things. They're loud. They're loud. Did I press the button? I did. How about that? Now, one thing that's important when you're doing this kind of work, I learned that watching Mike from Cornfield. Imagine I'm trying to make a wheel well, as I said a while ago. So I'm going to put a light line here, and this is not straight. So if this was an actual wheel well, this black line here would be where I want the curve to go over. So I got to stretch all this in here to be able to do it. And to get your light line straight, you want to stretch or shrink into a consistent place. So the shrinks, my shrinks should come in and stop at the line. That's also one of the trick learning these dies is where exactly in that process the shrink stops. So anyway, let's just see what happens. I'm probably gonna make a damn mess here, so just whatever. Woo. This is not like running that planishing hammer. I've run a planishing hammer before. I've never run one of these. I never run one of these dies. So this is brand spanking new for me. And I might be fixed to make a big mess. Alright. Well, there's my first attempt. That's actually not that bad. My dies are not tight enough. I'm certain of that. But you can definitely see what happened here. This edge is shrank, which made this panel here start to curl like this, like a wheel well, and then the flange started to roll over. And I tried to do my best to stop about the same spot to be consistent. I did fairly well. And I went around the edge this time. Before, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm just going to go off the edge and stop. Trying to shrink both edges is not going to be, that's just too much trouble. So I'm going to tighten my dies up just a hair. They're not quite tight enough, I don't think. Come on, fork. Just a touch. So I'm gonna run in basically the same track to where I was just at. So again, we're getting some more shape in here. So another thing you do while you're doing this process is you have the way Mike does it. You can't see me, hold on. And what I'm trying to make, you have more shrink on the outside than the inside. So what you do is you shrink a lot all the way in, and then you shrink a shorter distance here and do a lot more shrinks here, like 2 or 3 passes over this area. So this time I'm going to shrink. I made a new line, I think you can see it. This time I'm just going to shrink to this line and see what happens. And I still think my dies aren't quite tight enough, but I'll keep going what I got. But this panel is definitely, you can feel it, and that's one thing you can't describe when you watch somebody on TV do it. When you push this panel in that hammer, you can feel it taking the ends and sucking them down. It's pulling them, it's shrinking and pulling them away. You can feel it, the action of it making it shrink and pull down, and that's pretty freaking cool. All right, let's try it again. Now here you can definitely see the edge of the thumbnail. And I went past, I did go past the line with my shrinks here, so I went a little too far. So if I draw me a new light line here, which is kind of right here, we'll call this new line here my light line. That I went up to the edge of the thumbnail with that. So I'm going to do the same operation again, and then I will come down, say in here half of this, halfway. And I know I'm drawing a bunch of lines, and I'm being very imprecise, but this is just a practice piece. So I'm going to hit the same shrinks again, and then move back to this narrower line here and see what that does. Again, remember, I'm learning here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning from watching people on YouTube do this stuff. So something else I forgot. When you make multiple passes, you want to move the area of the thumbnail. Like I drew these black lines here. That's where I was running my thumbnails. Well, you want to shrink in between those lines next pass, and I forgot to do that. So I'll start that over again. I'm definitely getting the shape I had in mind, but I want this flange here to turn all the way over to 90 degrees. I'm not getting enough shrink. I still think my dies are too tight, too loose. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. You can see the marks here that the shrinking is doing, where it shrinks. I'm just not sure if you can see it in the camera, and I'm trying to hold it and I can't tell, but you can see the definite marks. So if I went and planished this, it basically have just a you know, kind of a flat looking flange. I want it to roll all the way over. I'm going to tighten my dies up a little bit. I can feel, like I said, I can feel the panel going in there and trying to shrink over, but it's just not quite, it's not quite what I want. I'm going to tighten the dies up a little bit. I'm going to keep the camera running. I'm not sure how much of this footage I'm going to show. I'll keep the camera running. So if I catch some magical moment, I'll have it on camera, which is doubtful, but you never know. So where we're at now, I've almost got this flange. It's not 90, but it's definitely turned way over. I still need more shrink. So I got a pretty good turnover right here. We can planish this and kind of get some form into it. But I got to get this right here to shrink, to roll on over some more. I was doing some shaping by hand, which you can do, but let me try this again one more time, or some more. We've definitely got a wheel well type shape made, for sure. It's just still not over all the way at 90. I can take and do some hand forming here, and I'm trying not to be too stupidly aggressive, because like I said, this is only 20 gauge also, by the way, keep that in mind. But I can definitely, this is forming going on now, or bending. See, we're almost there now at the 90 degree. So don't be afraid to get in there and bend and form. Ray Shalene's another good shaper. He's a English wheel guy. He likes to use the term arrangement. Put it in arrangement and out of arrangement. In arrangement means it's at the final shape, not shape. It's at the final form of whatever it needs to be. But sometimes when you're shaping, you have to take it out of that arrangement to shrink or stretch. If I was trying to make a wheel well, which I am, that's a basic wheel well shape that I have never made before like this. So that's actually, I guess for my first time out, let me zoom out a little. I guess for my first time out, that's not so bad. I am going to put it in my planishing hammer. This hammer will planish, but I got that planishing hammer sitting over there. That's kind of why I wanted to have two tools. I mean, you can tell me I'm being whatever. You know, one tool for hammering and making forms and shapes and stuff, and my other tool to planish, to go back and forth. Is that a luxury? Hell yeah. It's having one of these tools for me is a luxury. Now I got two. So yeah, it's a luxury, and I admit it. But you know, I earned it. I did stuff the hard way, you know, for years, as you can tell by old graybeard here. So I think I earned a little bit of power tool help, if you will. So anyway, like I said, if I was trying to make a wheel well, that's not a bad shape. It used to be planished. I did do my light line technique pretty well here. So I'm gonna get the planishing hammer out, and not tonight, it's late. My neighbors are probably loving this sound too. So I'll get the planishing hammer out tomorrow, whenever I get back out here. It's like I said, it's cold. It's cold. We might be having snow again tomorrow too. Here in the southeast, that's a rarity. But yeah, that's actually not bad. So I'll come back and we'll planish it and see what we come up with. How about that, huh? How about that? Alright, I'm going to take this piece I made and put it in my planishing hammer. I'm not going to worry about any specific radiuses on my planishing hammer dies. I'm just going to try to find something that I can put a little planish in here. I do want to try to straighten this light line out right here, if I can. Of course, I got the edge over here looking pretty good as far as the light line goes. But anyway, I'm going to take it over there and just run it through it right quick. I'm not trying to make this as a real part. This is just a test, so. But I do want to see what I can do with it. So hold on. So that came out pretty good. It's not perfect, but I'm not trying to make it perfect. There's a couple little ripples on the end, but like I said, this is just a test piece. So you can see where I planted that edge and what the light line kind of looks like now, I believe. So I'm going to run my, I think a 36 radius die. It's the flattest die I have, even though it still has a little bit of crown to it. See what that'll kind of do to the top side a little bit, just because I want to. And maybe planish out the edge. You can see the edge here where the shrinks were in it. I really should be using a flat die on the bottom and top, but I'm gonna try the crown. I'm just making this up out of my head. It hadn't got to match a certain pattern, so. If this was a real part, I'd have to take a radius gauge or my pattern, profile gauge, whatever I had made to see if this matches what I want. My air's not on. Ah! This thing does run better when you have air pressure. Alright, I really should be using the flat die. I'm actually putting some shape into it now. See how it's curving this way? I'm putting some shape into it. If I wanted that, that's great. If I wanted it perfectly flat, I should be planishing with a flat die. But again, I'm just playing around. So you can see where these are the shrink marks from the tucks. You can see where they're starting to planish down. I mean, this is definitely not metal finish smooth, but some high build primer on this, it worked. Now there is a couple little ridges right here I can feel. I should planish some more. If it's a real part, I would continue planishing. Let me hit the upper section here one more time with my planishing hammer, just for the heck of it. Can't help myself here. There we go. So that puts some shape back into the top here where it was getting a little flat. And that, again, this feels really nice. That's really smooth. I could prime that and block that, no problem. No body filler. If this is your exact profile, no body filler required here. There are a few little ripples right here that it should be planished out some more. And I probably could do that, but I'm going to stop because this video is going to get way too long again. Yeah, it's time to stop just for a practice piece. But it looks pretty good. I'm tickled to death with both the planishing hammer, which I mentioned in my other video, and of course my power hammer. Alright, so that's it for the hot rod power hammer. I was going to put in a couple of other profiles that the machine comes with, and I'm just not going to do that. The video is already getting too long. It does come with beading dies, you know, like in a bead roller you can put a bead in. Hold on. So these are 1/2 inch beading dies, so you can see the bead right here, and your other die. So it just runs across the part and puts a bead in, just like a bead roller does. I wanted to put these in there and mess with it, but I'm giving out of time, and I'm really happy with the way it works anyway. So I have no doubt this thing will work. Another thing it has, I'm not sure if I've already talked about it, this is the die holder when you make your own dies. The 5/8 wide slot, so you can buy 5/8, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. I wouldn't recommend anything smaller than probably 1/2 inch, 3/8, unless you're making a weird, you know, real tight curve where that's not for this video. But you make your die, you put it down here, tighten it down with some set screws. You got a positive and a negative, just like all your other dies. So if you're making your own profiles, just one second. You're making your own profiles, so this is a super secret test here. Pretend you didn't see this. This is plastic. I 3D printed this, and we'll talk about that in another video. This is just for you people that watch till the end of the video. Yeah, just, it's coming. Don't you worry, it's coming. So here's my test piece that I made. I'm calling this a fender well. So like I said before, your tire's right here. Here's the tire. Hello tire. Hello. Top of your fender well, and then the outside of the fender. Tire's running here. If that was a real fender well part and you wanted to use it, you definitely could use this part. So in order for this metal here on this outside edge to go over and curve like this, it has to shrink. So these thumbnail shrinking dies are one of the fastest ways to do that. You can do it with a handheld shrinker, a kick shrinker. You can do it by hand. There's a thing called making tucks and hammering them out, which I haven't talked about because I've never done it. I don't really want to learn to do it at this stage in my illustrious long career. I'd just rather use power tools and be done with it. If you want to do it by hand, there's lots of videos on the web show you how to do it. Look up tuck shrinking. What's his name? Carl Fisher at I know it. Make It Custom. Carl Fisher at Make It Custom has real good videos on how to do tuck shrinks by hand. Of course, the master, Ray Shalene, has long videos taking a tree stump and a hammer and making tucks. And the guy's a master. If you want to learn how to do this stuff, watch those guys or watch whoever you want to watch. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm going to use a power hammer. So anyway, like I said, my test piece, I did a pretty good job, I think, of riding my light line here. You can see it. It's I wound up curving the end when I planished it, just because that's just how I wanted to do it, just to see what would happen. But it definitely works. So what you can make with this machine basically is endless. It's only limited by what's in your brain. If you can think it and make a die for it and get it in this machine, it'll probably do it. Now, it's only rated to 18 gauge, I believe. Steel. Aluminum is a little thicker, maybe 16 gauge, but don't quote me on that. I wish it would do 16 gauge steel. It's not rated for that. I may get bold one day and try it, but it's not rated for that, so don't go off and do it and break it and come blame me. And this again is only 20 gauge, unfortunately, because that's all I had to play with. When I make real pieces, they'll be out of 18. So that's it for the video. I'm tickled to death with this hammer. It was an expensive purchase, but it's one I wanted to make. I know most of you guys watching will probably never buy one of these, but if you do, this is January 2025. There might be a bit of price war going on. I don't know it for a fact, but I've been noticing the prices have been trending them down a little bit. So if you want one, this time of the year right now might be a good time to go buy one. And I know most of you aren't going to. I'm just telling you that because whatever. Anyhow, that's it for the video. Be sure to do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, share it around. I let my channel really drop off last year by not posting, so I'm trying to get the channel to grow back again this year. It's my fault, not blaming anybody but me. But I'm trying to get the channel to grow back up this year. I've got a lot of great things planned. We're going to shape a lot of metal this year for that Model A. Pieces are here around. If I could do half of what's in my brain, it's going to be a great year. Just in getting stuff done. The channel's a channel. A channel will grow or it won't. Whatever. My dad's truck, obviously I got a lot of work still left to do to that. Most of my viewers are watching my dad's truck, my 69 C10. I understand that. I'm just hoping I'll pick up some more metal shaping stuff as I go along. But anyway, enough of that. So thanks for being here. Like I said before, Kutzer's Garage. Be sure to do all the YouTube stuff. Again, like I said, share it around, try to grow the channel, blah, 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 blah. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Happy Power Hammer days. Go make something, y'all. I'll see you later. Bye.